Good morning, everyone. Let's stand for a moment of silence and a pledge. And in your thoughts and prayers, please keep some of our county employees who've had some unfortunate on. And now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. We just arrived back from our meeting with the county delegation. All went well. We'll begin with approval of minutes for November 2nd, 2021. Comments, additions, motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda, Commissioner reports and comments. Vice President Baker.
Good morning. It's great to be here again. I feel better this week than I did last week, so that's a good positive sign. I'd like to thank the delegation for meeting with us this morning to discuss some legislative items that we're going to be requesting this year down in Annapolis. And it was a really good discussion, and it was just an honor, and I was happy to meet with them. Also, I'd like to just say thank you to our staff that put on the public hearing last week out at Hagerstown Community College. You did a wonderful job. It was extremely well attended, received a lot of good information, and that would have never happened without our staff putting all of that together. So I just want to reach out and say thank you to our staff. Also, I see back there in the chambers, Caden Snyder, one of the candidates running for county commissioner, and it's just nice to see you today, Caden, and thank you for attending our meeting. Very good. And that concludes my announcements.
Commissioner Kiefer.
Yes, just a couple items. I attended an event yesterday evening, and one of the gentlemen I spoke to after the meeting approached me about our body having more meetings in the evening that would be better suited the availability for those of our constituents that work daytime 9 through 5 shifts, may not be able to attend or even tune into our meetings, and they can do so after the fact, but to give them an opportunity for live citizen participation in particular, I think would be nice. In the past, we had our evening meetings, which averaged about one a month when we went into our municipalities, and they were usually sometimes well attended, actually more so than what our daytime meetings were, but with COVID, they were stopped. So if we can have an opportunity to schedule from time to time, again, at least on a monthly basis, I would be in favor of having an evening meeting that would allow more of our working constituents to attend. I think that's a good suggestion. That would make us more open and available to the citizens. Not that we aren't, but to work around their work schedule, I think is important.
I think that's a good idea. We even did a poll. It said 6 p.m. was probably one of the best times, even if we just wanted to meet here, even not out in the community.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we had, normally we try to one a month to be out with the municipality somewhere. And we had some of those schedules and we had to move those for a variety of reasons. But we hope after the first of the year and into the spring, we are going to try to have those on a monthly basis, meeting out in the municipalities. So, I mean, we could have one here. You're right, we could have one here, but we go around to the different municipalities. We're hoping to pick that back up, and those will be in the evenings. I think 6 o'clock, I think, was the time we were shooting for. So if that doesn't work, we could have them here if we wanted to have one here at 6 o'clock just to have an evening meeting.
Thank you, Wayne. I'm sorry I interrupted. Please continue.
No, that's fine. Something I would support. Also, I was unsure if this is an issue that should be addressed by the commissioners or not, but because we have had a number of citizens reach out to us concerning objectionable books that parents believe are objectionable found in the libraries in our schools. Quite honestly, I don't feel comfortable reading some of the passages that were shared with me. Some of the issues discussed, quite honestly, aren't, like the attorney suggested, philosophical issues. When you're talking about some of those contexts, you're referring to statutory rape in those books. So I don't think that's a Republican or Democrat issue. I understand the concept of free speech. But I would just suggest to the Board of Education that maybe they would consider provisionally pulling those books from the shelves, not burning them, not destroying them. Let them sit in the principal's office while they can do a more thorough understanding of the content of those books. I think that would be important. And again, I'm bringing that up because we have had constituents reach out to us, a number of constituents. Some of those constituents spoke at the Board of Education meeting last week, and they are right. We do fund the Board of Education, so to the extent that we do have any kind of influence over how that money is spent, I would believe some of those books are not appropriate, and not for philosophical reasons, but just truly inappropriate material for our students. I don't know if maybe we would want to draft a letter, something to that effect. Again, what I'm asking for is that the Board of Ed, just on a provisional basis, remove those books, not destroy them at this time, but until we can do a better understanding of what's in each book. That wouldn't be for us to do, but I would support that.
Commissioner, anything else?
If there's no support for a letter, I guess that's all.
Commissioners? I think this, well, I wouldn't oppose it, but I think they also sent those emails. They were also copied with the school board, and I saw that numerous school board members had responded, included to us. So that's the commissioner's pleasure if they want to draft a letter and do the consensus now.
I just know the constituents reached out to us as well, and I think a fair approach is, while the law is being better understood and interpreted, on a provisional basis, why not pull those books?
Oh, you're asking for consensus now? Is that what you're doing? Yeah, okay.
I would
I think I just got that. Yeah, and I don't disagree. I don't think there's much we can personally do about it because I think it's probably legislated down to the schools. But just the simple fact that citizens' money we distribute and the simple fact that it's against my principles and anybody else has reached out to me, I have no problem. I'm not sure what that letter does, but at least it puts me on record of not approving.
Very good. Let's have a letter drafted for approval, and we'll send it out. Everybody okay with that?
Thank you.
Very good.
That's
Thank you,
all.
sir. Commissioner Burkett?
I don't have a whole lot this week. Last week I attended the Black Rock public meeting, and Commissioner Baker's right, that was well done. On Friday, I attended an open house for the Sheriff's Day Reporting Center. Just another great program that we do here in Washington County that probably doesn't get a lot of attention, that a lot of people are unaware of. And at this event, I met a 40-year-old lady who got into heroin, and but through that program got off of it, and then she went out and started her own program. And along with what Commissioner Kiefer said, I too received a number of emails about the pornographic and obscene in nature reading material that sit in our Washington County libraries. And I want to thank the citizens who caught that. It's hard to know what all is going on everywhere, and so we thank those citizens who caught that. To me, as a parent, I wouldn't even want my adult children reading some of that material, much less my 13 or 14-year-old. But I will say this, I reached out to the school superintendent this morning and one of the school board members, and they assured me that the issue is being addressed, and the superintendent informed me that some books have already been pulled out of the lower grades, elementary school grades, and so I think they're doing what they need to do to address it. Nobody I talk to on the Board of Ed is in favor of that. And so hopefully everybody will just give them a chance to do what they need to do. I do agree. I think that a letter of support from the commissioners, at least would. And so that's all for today.
Thank you. Commissioner Wagner?
Morning. It's still morning, yep. I attended a function at the Maryland Theater last week that was special to me. It was for donors, and they invited me because they were giving a tribute to my father, George Wagner, and they did a storyboard and had one of the old projectors on display for constant display. I think it was Simplex, Carbon Arc, the old time ones. Dad was a projectionist at the Maryland Colonial Theater and the Academy Theater, but mostly the Maryland. He put a lot of years in there doing all kinds of, mostly a projectionist, but he was handyman, board, usher, but he was mainly a projectionist. And I grew up on the balcony in the Maryland Theater. And I don't believe many people equated me with my dad, George Widener, but I want to really thank the Maryland Theater, their staff, Jessica Green, the board, for doing that for him. It was a very nice tribute, and it's permanent display there now. Attended the Humane Society. It was their kickoff of their centennial, 100 years. I think the finale, or at least part of the finale, will be, I think, Saturday evening at their dinner. But this was held out to Humane Society. I'm a huge supporter of the Humane Society. My heart is with the Humane Society, just, the animals. And they buried a time capsule. It was a nice little event. There was, 40 people there, maybe 50. And it was a nice event. They did a nice job, and their statues are selling pretty well, so congratulations to them. And again, HCC, thanks staff. It was very well done. We had a lot of input from the public. We listened to it. And I guess sooner or later here, we're going to take a vote. I guess it'll be next month, John?
I think we're looking at December 7th, I believe.
That's all I have, Joe.
Thank you, Commissioner. I too want to thank staff and everyone involved with the public hearing. It did go smooth. The addition of the time clock of 3 minutes was a great addition, allowed people to know the timetable, and of course, none of the commissioners rushed the people through, so that was fine. I do want to thank the delegation for listening to us today. Again, we hit on I-81 and want I-81 to be fully funded, not in sections. We need to get that done now rather than later, sooner the better. I did attend an event for the Potter's Bowl, which benefited the Community Free Clinic over the weekend. I also attended the Centennial Kickoff out at the Humane Society with their gala coming up this Saturday to help celebrate that 100-year anniversary. And also to remind everybody that Veterans Day is this Thursday. There's numerous events across the county. If you need a list, I have a Herald Mail article. I can send you the link. But there's from 9 o'clock in the morning at Marty Snook, I suggest everybody come out and support veteran Randy Wagner, who's the keynote speaker at Halfway County Park at 9. Thank you for doing that.
It's hard to be humble. Yeah, thank you.
But throughout the day, there's events everywhere. And also notice there's an event at the college at 11 o'clock. They had signs and stuff posted around. Numerous events to go out and honor our veterans. And that concludes my report. Next will be, on the agenda will be staff comments. Any staff in the audience want to come forward? If not, Krista?
I have boards and commissions. Washington County Recreation and Parks Advisory Board recommending a reappointment of Terry Hose to serve a second 3-year term through October 31st of 2024. This is not a paid board.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay, first and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 I have the Washington County Commission for Women requesting to accept the recommendation to appoint Beth Harvey, Nyla Hawk, Anne Marie Rotz, and Stephanie Helm, each to serve a first 3-year term through October 31st, 2024. This is not this is not a paid board.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I have first and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 And one more, I have Washington County Community Health Advisory Commission recommending to reappoint Heidi Kendall to serve a first full term through September 30th, 2024 as the Behavioral Health Representative, and to appoint Peggy Pugh to serve a first 3-year term through September 30th, 2024 as the Board of Education Representative. And this is not a paid board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have first and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That's all, thank you.
All right, thank you. Legal, Mr. Downey?
Good morning, Commissioners. We have received a request from the Town of Williamsport as well as the C&O Canal National Historic Park headquarters. They have requested that we provide them with a letter of support. They are seeking funding in the amount of $900,000 to use for the interior rehabilitation of the Miller Lumber Building and the Klein House there at the C&O Canal headquarters. This is a request that it be that funding comes from the capital budget. This is also something that is part of the Community Coalition's lobbying request, but they have requested a letter of support from the county commissioners.
For the record, my 98-year-old dad didn't know of any relatives that owned that Klein house, so just so you know. I think that's part of the Washington County Lobbying Coalition's request too, so I believe they're asking for a letter to support that operation, that initiative.
Motion to approve a letter.
Or consensus to approve it, good, okay?
Yeah.
Everybody in agreement? Kirk, motion not necessary, just consensus?
For the record, why don't you vote on it?
For the record, we have a motion.
We can indicate that the vote was unanimous.
Second.
A motion from Commissioner Kiefer, is there a second? There's a second from Commissioner Baker, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kirk, anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
County Administrator?
Thank you, President Klein. Good morning, Commissioners. Just a few things. I too want to thank the delegation for meeting with us this morning. I think it went very well. I appreciate the commissioners and staff putting together our presentation for that. I did want to pass on our condolences to the family of County employee Dave Eisminger, who passed away this past weekend. So if you keep his family and friends in your thoughts and prayers. Also, there's some other county employees that are going through some issues. So if you could just keep all of our county employees in your thoughts and prayers this week, I would appreciate that. Also, I don't think we need a motion or anything on this, but I mentioned it this morning when we met with the delegation. Obviously, this board has been fully supportive for years, looking for money to widen Y-81. I think we should send a follow-up letter, we've sent several letters, but I think we should send another letter, especially since the infrastructure bill was just passed over the weekend. The state will be getting a significant amount of money, and as I mentioned this morning, I think we should ask for the entire thing to be funded out of those funds. So if it's okay with the commissioners, I'd like to put together a letter to be sent from this board to Secretary Slater and the governor making that request.
All right with me, gentlemen? Okay, good.
I'm certainly in support of that. John, just a question. In years past, the county has offered I believe it was around a $1 million contribution, maybe $2 million. So when you say fund in full, is that the entire, to finish from the bridge to the PA line?
Right,
Or do you
because-
mean
All
not
the
include
way.
Oh,
our portion?
I think that I want to ask for the entire thing.
And the million was for the infra grant support, correct? It went along with the infra grant.
Yeah,
This
that's
could be
right.
different.
That
but-
was the difference. So I think that, obviously, we've done it in phases. We've asked in phases. We've done phase one. There's phase two, but I think this could be our opportunity to
Get it.
to see if we can get it all. I don't know if we will, but I think it'll be a good opportunity since we're getting that. The state's getting a significant amount of money, and the state has actually been supportive. We just haven't gone to the top of the list, but I think maybe we will. Hopefully we will this time. So I think we asked for it all, and we still have some money there to our contribution if we need to, if we get through some other grants. And we'll continue to look for money anywhere we can when it comes to that.
Thank you.
I believe that's all I have.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is citizens' participation. Please come forward, introduce yourself, name and your address, and limit your remarks to 3 minutes if possible. Anyone here for citizens' participation? Yeah, one last thing, before you can come forward. I want to add to the commissioner's comments in general. Former County Commissioner Dick Roulette passed last night. I think at one time he was president of the board, but had many terms, so our condolences go out to the Roulette family for his passing. Ma'am, I'm sorry to interrupt. Please have a seat, introduce yourself, and where your address, and your 3 minutes or so.
Good morning, Commissioner, staff. My name is Stephanie Phillips, Berkeley County, West Virginia, residing mostly in Maryland most of my life, and some in North Carolina. Thank you for your service to the community and the opportunity to address your board. And I'd like to recognize our veterans this week and compliment you all on the fine job that you do honoring them and compliment your library staff and your county commuter bus service is very good. What is the greatest challenge of Washington County was posed to me by a service organization. I've done my homework. It's a preliminary report. My answer is location, location, location. To remain viable, thrive in an increasingly competitive capitalistic society with a vastly disproportionate dysfunctional economy in a day and age when people don't remain committed to the roots of their family ancestry. To remain viable, you need to entice new people with good-paying jobs, affordable housing, safe neighborhoods, quality health care, education, parks, arts, entertainment, and efficient transportation options. To thrive, you need that something special for visitors to stimulate tourism, such as the Biltmore Estate, former castle in Nashville, North Carolina, or your Civil War history to draw potential relocation of residents and businesses, increasing the tax base and more land development. Mission Bay Best Practices gives you high marks in almost every category. And a note to your entertainment is very good. However, we've identified some very serious concerns like Asheville. Interior coastline interstate intersections present unique problems. Lax security has facilitated contraband transportation distribution routes and been a major contributor of human trafficking. 2, urban sprawl from DC has created unhealthy competition between adjacent counties and neighboring states for teachers, law enforcement, EMS, firefighters, healthcare workers, and if this continues, will present an even greater threat to national security, further jeopardizing the Potomac River, the Chesapeake Bay, and the strategic interests of the Mid-Atlantic region. Preserving small and medium local farms is vital. Time does not permit a comprehensive list of solutions and how blowing the whistle on this has affected me and my family. In all fairness, human evolution would have brought us to this point in history. Regardless, we all could have been in different roles. We don't pick the family, neighborhood, religion, political circumstance we're born into. Many people and groups have been compromised, corrupted, and sickened. Step 1, universal preschool and neighborhood watch groups working proactively with local law enforcement, teachers, and civil servants to ensure mutual security and reclaim our communities and getting healing for those who are suffering. Lastly, I consider myself still married and have asked for protection under the whistleblower statute and will continue to make myself available for further discussion on resolution. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Continuing with citizens' participation. Anybody else? Seeing none. Next up, we'll have the presentation, Washington County celebrates Veterans Day.
Thank you, President Klein. I'll just introduce this matter. As everyone's mentioned here this morning, Veterans Day is Thursday, and we wanted to look for a way to try to honor the veterans and honor our county employees and their families who have served in the military. I think this idea originated in HR, I believe, so thank you very much. PR put this together. Our employees embraced it, and you'll see a number of employees will be part of this, or at least they'll be referenced here with them or their families in this video. So this video was put together to honor the veterans, to honor our employees and their families who have served our country.
Thanks to all who were responsible. I don't know what we can do to follow that. Next, presentation, 100th anniversary of the four vagabonds at Camp Harding.
I'll just mention, this is something that was brought to our attention. I think Commissioner Kiefer was the first one who brought it to my attention, and so it's just going to give you a little bit of history about the four of them, and I want to thank staff and PR for putting that together. Krista did a lot of research and provided that to PR, and so they put together this short video to honor the 100th anniversary, so.
In the summer of 1921, world-famous inventor Thomas Edison, automobile manufacturer Henry Ford, and tire magnate Harvey Firestone camped out at two different locations in western Maryland. Traveling on Route 40 from one campsite to another took these well-known men through the entire width of Allegheny County, east to west. John Burroughs, an original member of the Vagabonds, passed away earlier in 1921. From July 21st through July 27th, they camped in Washington County on a 200-acre farm located along Licking Creek, about 6 miles east of Hancock. During the weekend, President Warren G. Harding joined the Vagabonds. It was during this trip that many firsts happened for the Vagabonds. It was the first time their wives joined them, it was the first time the President of the United States camped with them, and it was the first time their friend, famed naturalist John Burroughs, was not with them. Mid-morning on July 23, 1921, Ford, Edison, and Firestone left the campsite at Licking Creek and drove west on U.S. Route 40 to Funkstown, Maryland, to meet President Harding, who had left the White House earlier that morning. After arriving back at Licking Creek, the president assisted with preparing lunch for the entire party. After lunch, Harding retired to his tent to take a nap, while Ford and Firestone conducted a wood chopping contest for the benefit of press and onlookers. The adventures of the president and Vagabonds included horseback riding, fishing, chopping wood, and other various outdoor activities. On Sunday, after breakfast and a memorial service dedicated to the memory of John Burroughs, of which hundreds of people attended, the president prepared for his departure. At approximately 4:00 p.m., after a little more than 24 hours with the Vagabonds, President Harding and his large entourage of security guards returned to the White House. On July 27th, after a week-long stay at Licking Creek, the Vagabonds broke camp. Their campsite is now a Washington County park, Camp Harding, named in honor of the president who camped there. In 1921, the site was still the farm of Emmert and Mary Mason. Not long after he departed, Henry Ford showed his gratitude for allowing the Vagabonds to camp on their property by sending the Masons a brand new Model T Ford as a gift. The Vagabonds camping trip in western Maryland then moved to Garrett County next to a spectacular waterfall along Muddy Creek. Later, their camping trip turned south at Oakland, ending at present-day Swallow Falls State Park.
Thank you. Closing comments from anyone? Okay, thank you very much. Very nicely done. Next on the agenda, contingency request from the town of Clear Spring. Please come forward, introduce yourself and the matter.
Good afternoon. Juanita Grimm, Town Clerk for the Town of Clear Spring. About a year ago, we brought this request to the county commissioners, and I don't know what happened. But anyway, I'm back today to ask you to approve funding for $20,000 from the contingency fund so that we could purchase light poles, decorative light poles, and put them out at the Veterans Memorial at the county park.
Commissioners, comments, motion to support?
We already verbally gave approval on it a year ago, so for all that, I would make a motion for the $20,000 to come out of our contingency fund.
I'll second it.
First and second, any comments from anyone? I could say your timing is perfect with the salute of Veterans Day.
Absolutely.
You really know when to get on our agenda, don't you?
Absolutely.
Hearing no more discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
what
Thank you
happens
for
when you
being our
holler at
memory.
someone in a parade?
See what?
See what happens when you holler at someone at a parade, you get on the agenda.
Absolutely, and emails work too, text
Yes, indeed,
messages.
they sure do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juanita.
Appreciate it, thank you. Next on the agenda, the Maryland Agricultural Land Preservation Program. Chris Boggs, come forward and introduce the matter.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Chris.
Afternoon.
Of course, you may recognize the Maryland Ag Land Preservation Program is kind of our marquee permanent preservation program for Washington County's land preservation efforts. Every year, I bring the Commissioners the request for the 60/40 match funding. So this year, we'll be asking for a $700,000 commitment from the county from the Ag Transfer Tax and State Ag Transfer Tax funds to go toward that 60/40 match component for the mouth easement program. Every year, MALP asks counties if they want to contribute to this 60/40 match, and if you're a certified county like Washington County is, you can if you give 40%, they'll match it with 60% of the total that you request, up to $3 million in total. So this will be the most that we've ever requested in my tenure here, and I'm not sure if it's the most that has ever been requested or not, but due to some of the recent development and other things regarding the transfer tax over the past year or two, we have the ability to request $700,000 from those ag transfer tax funds. As you may be aware, those transfer tax funds can only be used for land preservation purposes anyway. So I feel pretty good making this request. The match from the state, for the $700,000, would be an additional $1.05 million to go toward land preservation efforts. We don't know the exact amount that the state will be providing in its, the way it works is the state divides its, it has two basic funds for land preservation, so two pots, if you will. So they put half of their funding in one pot, and then they save the other half of their funding for the 60/40 match. So everybody in the first pot, every county in the state gets the same exact amount from that. I'm assuming this year it's going to be around $900,000 from the first pot. And then the second pot is for the 60/40 match. So we're looking at a roughly $2.65 million funding availability for Washington County for the FY22 cycle, which again is more than we've had in my tenure here. So for the clarity's sake, these contributions come from the two pots. The 60/40 match is only available to certified counties like Washington County. And then, of course, the general allotment we think is going to be around $900,000. For the fiscal impact, this doesn't affect the general fund. $400,000 will come from the county's portion of the ag transfer tax, and $300,000 will come from the state ag transfer tax that we get for all of the rural properties that transfer. So that said, the recommended motion is to approve the $700,000 commitment from the county's ag transfer tax and the state ag transfer tax to the 60/40 match component of the mouth easement program for the FY22 cycle.
Hey, Chris, just for my interest, that's all, is they're coming from state and county ag transfer tax.
Yes.
Do we physically have that money in our?
Yeah, it's what's available. I don't ask for more, I don't assume we're going to get more.
Do we have, once we do this, is there still some left over?
Yeah, I always leave a buffer, just because anything that might pop up. Sometimes I'll use some of the portion that's left over for instance, MALP will send out, if they exhaust most of the funds and the next property on the list, they don't have enough money to fully fund it. They'll send what's called an insufficient funds offer, and sometimes if the landowner is not isn't willing to accept the insufficient funds offer, we'll boost it a little bit with some of those funds. I haven't had to do that in a couple years, but, sometimes we'll do a little side agreement and kick some of that ag transfer tax. But I always make sure that, in fact, I use the June 1st of that calendar year cycle when I make the request. So just so that I know that there will be some left over.
And just for clarity, it can only be used for preservation.
Yeah, it's only slotted for land preservation efforts.
They give up their development rights.
Correct. Yeah, this is a permanent easement program. The more money we get, the more acres we can.
Then you have, what, 30, 40,000 now, or no more than that?
The number-
Oh, no, we have 36,000 acres total preserved.
Yep.
Technically, I think it's
That's long-term
36,003.
preservation.
That's permanent preservation. Those are easements that, they can't be developed, ever. So.
That's not
good
counting
ag
parks or battlefields or
Right,
nothing like
that's
that.
not counting the parks or battlefields, no, that's, or state-owned land. This is just in our preservation programs. This program itself has 14,214 acres permanently preserved. It's our largest program thus far, it's the oldest one as well, so.
36,000 total in permanent preservation.
Yep.
I'd motion to approve.
Second.
I have first and second. Any further discussion?
Chris, approximately how many acres can be preserved with this amount of funding?
Well, we'll have to wait to get the appraisals back but I think they're gonna be around the same. So if you're looking around 4,300 an acre, my guess is I think I'm gonna be able to at least preserve our top 3 farms. So we're looking at about 600 acres. Maybe creeping up on
The
700.
state does the appraisals, right?
Yeah, the state
do
funds and do the appraisals. We send down 12 applications every year. There are 2 appraisals done on each application property. And then, the state funds those, and then they kind of look at which appraisal they think is better, and they do a little ag formula. And, then they make their offer. Offers usually come out around April.
Okay, any other questions? I have first and second on the floor. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next up, retention of government relations consultant and lobbyist, Mr. Downey, I believe you're presenting.
Yes, Commissioners, Bruce Mariano has served as the Board of County Commissioners Government Relations Consultant and Lobbyist for the past 5 years. He is offering to do so again for the 2022 session of the General Assembly and for the calendar year through October 31st, 2022. He has proposed a fixed engagement fee of $10,000, which has been the amount that he has charged in the past. His services include monitoring bills, assisting with arranging meetings as necessary with government officials, delivering testimony if requested on support of county bills or in opposition to bills that are not in the county's interest, and providing customary government relations and lobbying services. I have found that it is helpful to have a contact in Annapolis who we can reach out to regarding legislative items. As you know, there are certain legislative items that the county puts forward, but he has also been helpful in the past with identifying bills that are in the General Assembly that may have a particular impact on the county or local government that we would not otherwise be aware of.
Have we ever looked outside the sky?
We actually have another lobbying firm that we engaged with a couple years ago from $5,000 to $10,000, and that's the Washington County Community Lobbying Coalition. They also make themselves available. They've been available to me for questions. So, yes, there are other lobbyists, and we do use other lobbyists as well. I plan to be a no vote as I have consistently over the last few years. But I'm sorry, that question wasn't directed to me, but.
That's okay. Your opinion's fine on that. Any other questions, comments? Not hearing a motion to approve. Go ahead. Before we
What's
get a
your
motion.
concern with him?
Well, one, we already engaged with a lobbyist, so we have that benefit of a lobbyist already in Annapolis that And I would imagine, has the Community Lobbying Coalition formally selected Manis Canning and Associates? Is that a?
I think they have, because they've been working with the coalition throughout the process of putting together the list that was presented to you a few weeks ago.
And that Community Lobbying Coalition also puts on our annual day in Annapolis. That gives us an opportunity to go down. So I think we get a good benefit already from our lobbyists. One of the concerns I had mentioned last year in particular, I think with just a newspaper article I saw, absolutely good for Mr. Bariano. He has I think he had the second largest clientele list, which is great. I mean, he's obviously successful, but I would imagine some of those clients have competing interests. And I know just in my conversation with Manis Canning and Associates, they monitor that closely with their own firm to make sure that if we need a lobbyist and maybe someone within their organization is lobbying for an interest that's counter to ours, they would supply a different lobbyist for us. So,
Where does that money come from that pays for this? Is it already budgeted for? Our contingency?
which we've spent at least as of today, half of that already into a couple months, yeah.
Just curious question for me, Kirk. Does Bruce, does he interact with our delegation?
He does.
He does. You know, I personally think that with the handcuffs we've had on for a year with COVID and with the Democratic legislation, I don't, you know, he has to work for us if we pay him. I mean, I'd be okay with it.
And I know early in my career, I supported Mr. Bariana for a couple of years where I didn't support Mr. Bariana. With all of the money being coming into Maryland, we want to get our share of the pie. I don't think we can have too many people down there working for us. So this year, I'm going to be supporting Mr. Bariana based on everything that's going to be happening around the
Hearing a
state.
discussion,
If we support, could we make a personal pledge not to accept any campaign contributions from Mr. Bariano? I know that's something that also kind of irks me a little bit.
Yeah, it makes no difference to me. I never get anything from him
people
anyway.
want to take it from my campaign for $25. I'm not going to disavow that. I think Mr. Bariano represents us well. You can have a personal commitment not to accept anything.
What do the other commissioners think? Commissioner Wagner, you were.
Yeah, I don't care. I didn't get any money from him anyway, so.
So,
He's never donated to my campaign.
yeah, but I'm
Not
not
the
going to
question, but
disavow the
okay.
$25 ticket
I don't
that he
really think
bought.
it matters, because I think if we go back and we research everybody's contributors, we could find somebody in there that we probably shouldn't have accepted money from.
Yeah,
But that's entirely up to
That's a
us.
good point, actually.
I would accept
And it's
the
not-
motion for as written right now.
Just, that was a very clear conversation as to why some opinions have changed, so, okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah, but you make a good point, though.
A very good point.
Is there a first?
Yeah, I motioned to approve. I've supported ever since for 3 years, so I motioned to
Is there a
approve.
second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion?
So will there be a caveat on the campaign contribution?
Wasn't part of the motion.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
3, 1.
No.
I didn't hear you.
I said aye.
Oh, okay, thank you. It was muffled a little bit. All right, it passes. Now I need a motion to go into closed session.
Motion to go in closed session.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.